just say, where are you from, please?
Yeah, I'm from Sweden and from Stockholm.
Okay. And in Sweden and in Stockholm, just to give people some kind of sort of context, how big is Stockholm?
Yeah, I think it's around 2 million people here now, soon, if we counted the whole city.
And how many large cities are there in Sweden?
We have 3 large, depends on what we mean, but it's so not so big than in other bigger countries, but Stockholm and Göteborg and Malmö is the 3 biggest cities in Sweden.
Or if you're listening from an English-speaking place, Stockholm, Gothenburg and Malmö. Because we pronounce everything badly, so please forgive.
Yeah, Stockholm, Göteborg och Malmö in Swedish.
Now, can you say a little bit about what you do, please, Susanna?
Yeah, I work with dyslexia in dyslexia in Sweden since 15 years ago. I am a lecturer and speaker about dyslexia, and my vision is to change the way that we see dyslexia in Sweden, to show the whole picture. So I also talk about the problems and that we should take them serious and what the consequence is, but also the dyslexic strengths. And so people with dyslexia better understand themselves, and that schools and working places and companies and others also understand dyslexia and also the positive ways. So we know how to work and how to work together with our differences and things like that.
Can I sort of pin you down on something? You said change the way that people see dyslexia in Sweden. How do people see dyslexia in Sweden? Yeah,
the ordinary picture of it is that it's quite just something negative. That is reading and writing problems and nothing more.
Right.
And of course there are reading and writing problems, but it's so much more. So and also positive things. So that's to change focus from just something negative to the whole picture, and also see the positive sides of it.
And you say you work in universities lecturing as well.
I'm a public speaker, so I have educations in schools and in companies and workplaces and.
Right. So in schools, how much teacher training is there for in education in the first place?
Yeah, so I have a lot of education for the teachers when they are teachers, or for the schools with all the people who works there. But when teachers became teachers in the teachers' education from the beginning, it's not so much dyslexia education there. It's some, but not much. So that is something that we need to be better on in Sweden, to have more knowledge about dyslexia and also the positive sides in the picture of dyslexia for
I've got
teachers.
to be honest with you, here in Britain, and I'm going to suspect, I'm going to extend this, I don't think we're unique in Britain. I think here in Britain and probably elsewhere, we have this view that what you might call the Nordic, Finno-Scandic countries are far more advanced in dyslexia awareness than pretty much everybody else. Is this a mistaken view, or is there some truth to it?
I've heard it too sometimes, and I work together with people, dyslexia experts and researchers all over the world, and so I have heard it sometimes as well. Yes, Sweden has this theory about the phonological problems connected to dyslexia quite strong, and working with that, and that's also a good thing, but I don't think that's the whole picture. But so I think that's why people can think that in a way that we have done some research on that theory, and that way of dyslexia have been quite strong.
And does it translate into practice in schools, for instance? So do the teachers have a very dyslexia-friendly style of teaching, or are the lessons very sort of dyslexia-friendly, or what does dyslexia-friendly mean in a Swedish system in this respect?
Yeah, I think it's big differences actually, but general it must be better.
Yeah.
But it's so it's better in some schools and not good in other schools. So we need to have a stronger system that it's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's also important, what I see when I'm in schools, it's very important that the school have a system, the same system in every classroom. So they need to know, so they know how to use techniques like text to speech and things like that, because reading is something else today than it was for 80 years ago.
Yeah.
And that we need to accept that and understand the good thing with the technical programs we have today, because that's a very big difference for the dyslexics today. So it's differences.
Yeah, I mean, it brings me to ask, usually schools and education is it's a big ship that turns very slowly, as I say. Business, on the other hand, tends to be more reactive to social contexts and needs, because it has to be, because it's business. And you work with business as well. Can you say something about whether there's more dyslexia awareness in business than there is maybe in schools?
Yes, it has started a little bit in Sweden, that we start to understand how to use the dyslexic strengths in business. And I've worked a lot here together with England and Kate Griggs and Helen Taylor and other people that's good on this field. Yes, but we are not there yet, but it started a little bit, and I've worked with some companies around this to explain how to see and understand dyslexia. And that is an important thing for the future, because we need people now who can change, who can think in different ways, from different perspectives, to think new ideas, to be problem solvers and be creativity and things like that. So this is so important for our time. So it's so important for us to also see these competences and use them.
Yeah, and I suppose this process of awareness building is coming in Sweden, and that business is becoming more and more aware. Is society becoming more aware? So how does society look at dyslexia? Is there any level of stigma, any level of shame? Do different parts of society, so is it like in northern Sweden, which is perhaps less industrialized, is the feeling different in northern Sweden than in southern Sweden?
No, I don't think so. I think it can be the same over the countries, but it's differences in different people in a way. So I work a lot with right now with adult dyslexics in dyslexia courses. So we work how you can go from have problems to see and understand yourself and be not so comfortable in all situations on your work, to go from there to be more to feel more control and understand and be more effectively in your work. So that's and that's so clear there, because I work with chefs and with people. They are very good in their works, but all of them, or many of them, feel this feeling inside from their school, the time when they went in school. And so this is so important, that you actually understand yourself. And so some people with dyslexia in Sweden know about the dyslexic strengths. A lot of them, when I work and meet them for the first time, they can describe the problems and the strong parts with themselves, but they're not they don't know that it's connected to each other, and also because it's also so important to understand the text norm. I call it text norm because we give our reading and writing process a lot of time. we have so many ways to use to communicate, but it's a little bit like this and here. In the first place up here is reading and writing, and I call this for the text norm, and that is strongest in our education systems. So that is why it's so important that teachers understand what the school situation and these text norms do for students with dyslexia. And that's the same from when they are young until university students. I also work with the university students, and the same there. But this is also in workplaces and in companies and for adults as well, to really understand what this norm in our society have done with them and their self-esteem and things like that. So yeah.
And do you find self-esteem problems among these people?
Yes, more or less, but something is always there. But then when you have understand this, I have sometimes it's so fantastic, because I have been on people's travels, in a way, like a travel. Then after an hour, just an hour, it's another people who go from the meeting, then come in the room from the beginning, and it's just to change the way of seeing yourself and understand your competences. So of course from the beginning it's always something there that you don't believe so much in yourself in a way, but then you need to understand it's just about reading and writing, but not other things. And then it's also that the way you think is that causes the problems, but also the strong parts. So and that is very different. Sometimes people are open with their dyslexia, with the dyslexia, but often when you're a little bit older, you are not. Some people are not, and always, and also when you are high up in a company, maybe you try to hide it because you don't think that it's a good thing that people know this about yourself, and that's very common. So people with dyslexia works in every workplaces and companies, but they are not honest always about their dyslexia, and that is it should be much better if all is open about this.
Off the top of my head, I just have one final question, if that's all right. And it relates to something you just said. Maybe there is no answer to this. I don't know. But you said when you're working with company bosses, they might find that the higher up you go, the less willing you are to admit this sort of weakness, so to speak. Have you ever noticed a difference in male and female attitudes to their dyslexia? That men are less willing to acknowledge this difference than women, or is that just something that came to my head and should be thrown out of my head immediately?
No, actually, I haven't seen any difference there. In my courses, when I am outside and talk about dyslexia in different situations, and there, it's always both women and men who talk about their dyslexia and are in the dyslexia courses. And so I have never seen any difference there.
And I suppose an addendum to that is, am I right in saying that Sweden is apparently the most as it were, gender-balanced country in Europe, whatever that means?
Maybe it's like that in different angles, but I don't. But we have more to work with here as well, so it's not that equal that we wish it should be.